You're listening to Chat Travel, a podcast series from My Travel Through. Hello and welcome to Chat Travel by My Travel Through. This is the podcast where we invite guests to come to have a coffee and talk about their career, talk about their journey and what they're gonna do in the next few chapters. And if you look around, you're gonna notice that my chair and there's a tree here that looks a little bit. You can see the green color over there, and the green kind of how reminds me of the place where our guest came from. You know, when you talk about the greenest place in the world, you suddenly think of Singapore, and that is exactly where our guest come from today. Hello, Mr. Tan Sivan.
Hi.
Mr. Tan Sivan is the country manager of My Travel Through in Singapore. And so you're from Singapore, and how many times have you been in Vietnam?
How many times have I been in Vietnam? I was to say last 4 days I was in Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah.
So I'm back in Vietnam. So I would say that I've been traveling to Vietnam very frequently.
Yeah.
Since last year. But before that, I have been traveling to Vietnam on a quarterly basis. And of course, before that, I do travel to other countries within ASEAN also. So that's part of my work travel that I do.
I mean, like, you travel a lot, but was it a part of your career since the very next day, at the very first day, or you just started to travel a few days?
No,
I mean,
I
like,
think
there was a twist?
Yeah, I would say that in terms of the travel bug or catching the travel bug, we will have to go back to 2012.
2012.
Where basically I took on a new career path, took on a new career direction from construction to hotel. So in 2012, I took on the role of technical services with Starwood Hotels. So that's where my journey in terms of travel industry began. Of course, I can still remember the first work trip was June 6, 2012. And the location was Bangladesh. So to review a new hotel, new build. So that's where my journey was, how it started. And of course, that was the time where from zero travel in terms of work travel to from 2012 is basically 2 weeks, twice a week travel for the next 5 years, 6 years kind of circuit where I travel within the ASEAN countries. So those were the days where a lot of discovery, a lot of food tasting, and that's where I would say that I caught the travel bug through that.
Yeah. So how did your life change? I mean, before and after that point, 2012.
How did my life change? How did my life change? Essentially, I leave off my suitcase. I have 2 suitcases, sometimes 3 suitcases, all pre-packed. So there are times when my work schedule is back to back where when I come back home, I basically travel the next day. So I just pick up my second suitcase and carry on. Life was different from non-travel work commitments. Family-wise, there was an adjustment, but I would say that I'm fortunate in the sense that my family, I have 2 sons at that time, so they were still young but old enough to be independent. So we made adjustment that way. I was a single parent back then, 2012. So 2 sons, we basically, if you say, were they ready for their the father having a change in career? I would say, no one is ready. You just have to go with the flow. They will have to just make adjustment, as I would make adjustment with my work travels, my work commitments. They would make adjustment in terms of family life and learning to be independent. So these are things that were the adjustment, not just myself, but within the family members.
Oh, okay, I got it. So at that time, how old were you at the time?
45.
45, and you switched your career
Yes,
at the age of 45.
45. It's never too late to switch career from construction to hotel at age 45. At that time, when the job opportunity came, it was a juncture in life where I've tried everything, or everything that I've thought of, I've come across, and this opportunity came to me. So it was offered. I mean, the vice president, technical services, basically asked me whether I'm interested. So that is where the thought is, why not? Well, if he approached me, he would have seen something that I have not discovered myself. So this is one of the, looking back, I would say this is one of the values or key takeaway in, I think, the listeners would be that you may have certain core values or talents that you may not be aware of, but there are people who have observed, noticed you, and believe in you. And sometimes you may not believe in yourself. So I would take a piece of advice would be, sometimes you just need to believe in others because they believe in you. It's just that you have not discovered your true self.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned core value. I mean, like at the age of 45, you switch career into something totally new. And I mean, like, so was there any value that makes you decide that you gotta say yes to that opportunity? I mean, at that age, is there something that's strong enough?
Yeah, I mean, there was the trigger point. I would use the word. I use this word trigger point to make that decision to take on a new offer in which is so unknown. I would relate that literally that incident over coffee, where the vice president basically approached me and said that, would you consider this position? And I look at him in the eye and say, I don't have the qualification. I don't have the experience. I am not in the best position to so-called take on this new assignment. So his response was, I'm asking you, Stephen, I'm asking you a question. All you need to do is just say yes or no. You don't have to say all this, you know? So that was a trigger point where I realized that he saw something in me which I probably couldn't see it at that time. So that was where I decided that, why not give a try? Why not just say yes? Because I would know if I'm unable to basically perform, do the job or the task that is assigned to me, I would probably know about it in 2 months' time. And I would say that, why not give myself? Literally, I would say give myself a chance. Because the chance was given by, opportunity was given by and offered. So it was, the trigger point was internally myself, that to give yourself a chance. So I think this is one takeaway from the fact of individual, personal lifestyle, personal values, and life journey, where I think there are some, for listeners, those who may have certain life challenges that they have faced or are facing, give yourself a chance. It is not just the people around that are not giving you a chance. There are times where you need to give yourself the opportunity.
So, yeah. And you decide to give yourself a chance
Yep.
to see if it's going to work out or not.
Yes.
And it did, right?
It did. No one in the construction circle, basically, they were friends of mine.
Yeah.
When I told them about the offer and where that I took out the offer, they were concerned. Not in terms of disbelief, but in terms of the concern of, you sure you can make it?
Yeah.
That journey lasted 10 years.
Congratulations. That's a milestone.
I mean, in a sense, it was a milestone in which I would say that if you never try, you'll never know. So, take the opportunity, give yourself the chance, take it and make adjustment as you go along. You're never ready for things that come along. I would just say adjust, make adjustment, and see where it goes. Life is an adventure. So I would say, for listeners, go with the flow and adjust. I would say adjust your sails. It's just like a boat where when there are storms, rough seas, you just need to adjust your sails and you'll get to your destination.
So that 2012 marked the point where you started traveling everywhere, like to so many countries. And you've been here and there, but I mean, like, you were born in Singapore and you worked in Singapore for such a long time. Let's say that your heart and soul is in Singapore.
Yeah.
And well, so then I just wonder that is there any country other than Singapore that you came to and then you suddenly feel like you belong to that place for a very long time without knowing why? I mean, like, is there any place like that?
There is.
What was that?
That was back in 1992.
1992.
My first trip to Vietnam.
Oh.
Ho Chi Minh. So at that time I was much younger, but it was a trip in which I discovered Vietnam firsthand. And I've like what you say, I felt comfortable. But that was back in 1992, right? And that was when I started my working career. So I didn't pursue that interest or the desire on a basis because I was pursuing and establishing my career. So and then of course pursuing the girl of my life at that time. So everything was forgotten in terms of Vietnam. So I'll guess that I will say that when I enter into the hotel industry, where travels brought me back to Vietnam, that restarted the love and the desire for in terms of the country of Vietnam. So yeah, it is still Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. So you would come back here very often.
Oh, I was, the desire of coming to Vietnam was so strong that when we had COVID, right? So there was a news back in 2022, early 2022, end 2021, where the news of COVID was on, and there was countries opening up. There were news here and there. So I was so eager about it that I booked a trip to Hanoi, February 2022. gung ho, got the ticket, but not realizing that you need special visa to enter Vietnam. So that was and circumstances is that I got my boarding ticket at Singapore Changi Airport. There was no alarm bells to ring to say where is your special visa. So I boarded the plane, took the flight from Singapore to Hanoi, arrived at the airport, at the immigration. Basically, I was deported back to Singapore. Not having the right papers, travel documents. That was an adventure.
A really adventure.
A real adventure. So I wasn't upset. It was like, nice try again. So yeah, I tried again. And this time I made sure that I have the right documents and the right timing. I was back in Vietnam again in April 2022. And that starts the journey.
It's just go with the flow from that.
Go with the flow. You will hit some roadblocks in life, like being deported back. So it was my first experience of what is deportation, right?
Yeah.
The procedure, the process. It's interesting. Yeah.
So Vietnam and so many different ASEAN countries, I mean, you travel a lot. Then what traveling means to you?
Traveling, I would say besides work, I would say that work is part of travels. But as I travel to different locations, different culture, different people, different food, the essence of it is discovery. Discovering the different cuisines, discovering the different social structure, the social norms, and learning from the cultures and the people, and realizing that there are best practices from different countries, that there are still opportunities to learn, even though from the younger group of people, the younger adults. And I think that is where I would say it gives me the reason to continue to travel. Gives me the reason to be still traveling and to discover. And I like what some people say, go to places where it's less traveled. So yeah. And making new friends, building relationships. And I think that's core. Of course, there are others who will have their different point of view about travel, but I think this is where it's core to me in a sense. Yeah.
And then the COVID-19 came, and most people couldn't go anywhere. And you too? You couldn't go anywhere?
I couldn't go anywhere. When COVID-19 so-called struck the world, it's not just myself, but everyone. Everyone has a fair share of challenges. There are those in the business who have suffered losses in business. Some have lost their job. So I'm part of the category of being made redundant, or in a nice way, losing your job. So back in 2020, the organization made it's basically a global decision. So there were redundancy and cutbacks in terms of staff strength. So I'm part of the selective group that was made redundant. That was back in 2020. Yes, 2020, August. And you can't travel. So I basically stayed at home, just chill, relax. It's not the first time you so-called lose your job. And I wasn't angry. I mean, it is got nothing to do with your personal performance or self-esteem. It's part and parcel of just how situation is. I was at home keeping myself occupied, busy, and I was approached by a Singapore hotel, the hotel general manager approached me and said that, hey, am I interested to be the task force chief engineer for the hotel? Reason is because their chief engineer retired, so they couldn't find a replacement. And it was a contract, 2-year contract. So I decided, since I couldn't travel, why not? Now you must, for those who are aware, by then I was age 54. At age 54, I took on the role of hotel chief engineer. I've never been a chief engineer in a hotel. At age 54, I took on the role. And, well, the hotel didn't burn down. It didn't shut down. It survived through the COVID. It did what we basically survived with occupancy. So I would say that, here again, this is a testimony of it's never too late to do something new, do something different. It is a role or title that may sound foreign, but the core skills that I have or any individual may have, they are the foundations in which you perform your task. And I think this is another takeaway where I hope listeners would be encouraged to know is, never too late to do anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And because you said that in the time of COVID-19, you couldn't go anywhere. So then you stay in Singapore and you try a new thing. You were in a new role. I mean, like, let's just say that in a metaphor that you couldn't travel physically, then, but you travel mentally. You've moved to a new role, moved to a new state of mind. And I just wonder that how is it the relationship between physical travel and mental travel is like for you?
Comfort zone, the mental comfort zone or the physical comfort zone, because this is where, when you're comfortable with a certain a place where you stay or sleep, you're comfortable with the social structure, you're comfortable with the working culture, and when you put yourself outside your comfort zone and be in a place where it's a different work culture, work scope, and responsibility, that's also, in a way, you travel to different places. You travel to different work culture, even though in COVID you can't travel outside the country, but I travel outside my comfort zone into a different work culture and adapt and perform and contribute. And it's also a journey of self-discovery, and you basically also reinforce certain values and core strength that you have achieved and built up over the years. Yeah, you that's how probably I kept myself busy, traveling, in a sense, yes.
Yeah. So if you can't travel physically, like moving from one place to the other place, then you just find another way to keep yourself busy and on the go,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Find another way in doing things. There are many ways to be creative. I would say that maybe back in the earlier, before 2012, challenges in life and in other aspects, whether personal life or work life, one of the core essence learned that was developed was you learn to be resourceful when roadblocks are put in front of you. And that's what happened to me. When there's business failure, when job losses, family losses, loved ones, you lose loved ones, those were the difficult situations that I learned to adapt, find different resources, find ways to keep yourself going. You are the head of the family, so you can, as being the head of the family, you can't just collapse and drop everything and say, that's it. You carry on because there are others that need you. So I would say that the journey of discovery that, when in these circumstances, you discover new ways and resources of getting things done. And something in which if you are not placed in a difficult situation, you will not look into that corner of the places for resources because you never think that the solutions or the help come from those part of your life or friends until circumstances and challenges come. So I would say that for when storms in life, challenges, difficulties, issues, it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to be fearful. It's okay to feel insecure. It's human nature. We all feel that. We just need to learn to manage and not have them control you. Face with it and deal with it step by step, one piece at a time, and you will overcome it. Good times don't last. Bad times also don't last.
Yeah.
So the storm will blow away and the sunshine will come back. You just need to be patient and bear with the difficulties.
But in those storms of life, like when you're surviving, is there any moment that you feel lonely?
Oh, yeah, there are times in life where you really feel lonely. There are no one will be there for you. None. I guess this is a situation where you really dig deep into your self, your own core values, your own self-belief. You really search your soul. And I would say the core thing is never to give up. Never to give up hope. And this is something in which it's hard to say, but even it's like if you have to hang on to the rope, if it's just a thin thread, hang on and not let go. Because you never know when is the turning point. So I would say, don't give up. Have hope. And for me, it's my faith, the faith that I have in God, that I hang on to it. And that's what got me through. And I would say, it's something in which it is personal, but yet again, for others, it will be you take a pinch of salt and just be encouraged. Tell yourself, don't give up hope. Yeah.
So 2012 is a turning point, and that made you change your jobs, your work. And was there any other moment in life that makes you want to change it again, like from travel industry to a whole new industry that you've never been?
That was probably 2020 or 2022. In essence, I would say 2022 when countries' borders were open, and that was a time in which my contract as a hotel chief engineer, I completed my contract, and the borders opened. So that was a time in which I consulted with my wife, and by then I'm age 55. It's like you can choose to continue a career in the hotel industry or do something different. So I would say that my logic of making a decision was at age 55, if you continue in the hotel industry, how many more years can I be in the hotel industry at age 55? Another 10 years? In the hotel industry. So 10 plus 10, 20 years. I can do that, or I can choose to do something different and find something different to do outside my comfort zone. Again, getting myself uncomfortable, but it's a journey of discovery, it's life's adventure. And I decided, well, of course, with the support of the wife, take on a different direction. And this is where the role of the country manager as my travel through came into the picture. Why not do something different and yet remain within the travel industry? So it is different, but yet the same. I'm in the travel industry. So that's where I think the turning point would be last year. Not out of a bad or negative circumstances. I will see it as situation presents itself, opportunity presents itself. And when opportunity presents itself, you choose to decide to remain in your comfort zone and let the opportunity pass by, or you take on the opportunity and see where it goes. So I took on the opportunity. Let's do something different and start off with my true travel.
Wow, what you had to say is just totally different from, people always say that there's a point in life where you should play safe, like you should have safe choice or something like what you did. You can try anything in your 20s, but then in your 30s, you have to settle down or something like that. I see so many people talking about that on the media, on the newspaper, in the books, on the social network side or something like that. And the fact that you have 2 kids, 2 sons, right? And you still just let them go.
You let them go. They'll grow up.
So do your son have any kind of that trait from you?
In terms of genetics, half of it is mine, half of it is the mother's.
Absolutely.
So I there's no reason to claim 100% credit. I'll say that they are adaptable. They are now young adults. They are no longer children. So they are very independent. And I think this is for me where I would say that I'm different from the younger family where they have younger children. I think that is a different set of challenges and priorities that they will have to make. And I would say that for me it would be, there's still a certain degree of discomfort. I'll share what I would probably I would probably look at the stage of my life now is being so-called seen as you have crossed the 50, half a century. I'm to run with the younger people. I will be running with the younger men in terms of the business, where the people my age are going into retirement mode. I'm going into the business mode. I think there is also a hidden gut feel of insecurity, or there's an issue, maybe subtle issue of self-confidence that, am I too old for this, right? Or am I young enough to do this? So again, how do you see it? Do I ask myself, Am I too old for this? Or am I saying, I'm still young? Let's see how far can I go with this? So, I would say that I'm still able. Why not give a shot? I will say that until I'm unable to walk, then I'll do something that I don't need to walk. And if I am still able to travel, I will travel till the day I am unable to travel. Then I'll just find some other ways of
Mental travel,
and
something like
mental
that.
travels. Yes. So I guess this is how I would see life is at the stage where people say mid-career crisis. I don't see it as a crisis. I see it as opportunities and challenges and discovery. I would say that I've enjoyed a big portion of my life in 2022.
Yeah.
It was really an adventure.
I gotta ask you this because you've been working for so many years and you work with so many different generations. So about time, what is the time life like to you? I mean, like, do you see time is something is very long?
Time is short. Life is short. Time is relative, but life is short. So I would say live life to the fullest. Don't be afraid to try new things. Of course, you need to count your costs. It's good to have plan A, plan B, plan C in whatever venture or things that you want to do in career or whatever life that is personal. It's good to have plan B, plan C. But manage your fear, but try new things, and you'll discover that life is very interesting. Yeah, I would say don't be afraid. I would say I would relate one story that my wife mentioned. She works in the hospice, so is care for the terminal ill. So there are many stories that she's seen, she has witnessed, she cared for patients, dying patients. So there a typical story, real story event where a couple, no children, they save all their life, work hard, have a saving of $1 million, and saying that they will travel when they retire, travel the world. So the moment they turned 55, they decided, okay, it's enough time to retire. They chose the retirement mode. 6 months after their retirement, one of the spouse had a terminal illness and passed on within 3 months. So in their last day of the spouse and caring, the response from the couple was they should have gone for holidays.
Yeah.
Because there's no memories, good memories to hold on to, because they've been working for the past 30, 40 years of their life. And when wanting to enjoy life, and then they realized that life was so short. So it was a sad situation because the spouse that left behind there's no more reason to enjoy life because the partner is no longer around. You have $500,000 left, but there's no joy in it. You spend the other $500,000 on all the medical expenses to have a cure, but you don't. So I would say keep a balance in life because life is short. You'll never know. Of course, have some savings, but you learn to live life, enjoy life. As you journey, stop by, smell the flower, look at the scenery. It's not just the destination of where you want to go, but along the way, enjoy the moment. I think that's key to where I am right now. Crossing half a century. Do I dare to say that I have another 30 years more to live? No. I'll just live the best of my ability and the time that I have. Yeah.
That really, the story you just told reminds me of the word that I guess you must know, that is hustle culture. Where people, especially young people like Generation Z or millennials, they work so hard and they feel the peer pressure when their friends out there making it, and they try to put their time and effort into work without, any kind of a time or life pleasure like traveling or going somewhere. And you realize that we need balance in life. But back in your days when you are 20 something, do you ever experience the same, the hustle culture, hustle and bustle?
Yeah, I do. In my generation, yes, we do feel the same thing as what probably the early 20s to early 30s, current 30s, they face the same, I would say, similar pressures, peer pressures, social pressures, in terms of career, in terms of financial wealth, in terms of financial status and social status. They are the same. Different yet the same. Technology is different, but that sense of pressure, I would say, is the same. Similar. It's like you have to take it with a pinch of salt that when now at this stage of life, I'm able to look back, because there are many years for me to look back to, and there are many lessons for me to look back to. Whereas for those that is in the 30s, it's a short span, so the runway is short. You don't have much to look back to. I think this is where if from the Asian culture of the wise words of their elders, we really need to listen to the words and advice of the elders, because they have a long runway to look back to. Where when I was young, in my early 20s, late 20s, I have that gung-ho spirit, and sometimes I become too proud and say that you old people don't know what you're talking, you are old, out of date, this is the way to go. I would say that at that time when in my 30s, I thought I had that attitude, and I would say that I was wrong. Right? I would say then for different phases of life, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, I would say that if they can look in the core concept of in your early 30s, early 20s, in terms of career, how you progress in career in your 20s is based on what you know. What you know meaning your qualification, your knowledge, whether you go to university or technical school, that is your knowledge, what you know. Takes you or brings you to the job or the career that you can have to make a living, right? To achieve your basic needs or your wealth. It's the same. But when that is in your 20s, is based on what you know. In your 30s, between 30 to 39 years old, I would say that it is not what you know, it's who you know. Do I know the CEO of this? Do I know the senior manager of this company? Because these are the relationships that connects you to further your career or your social status or social wealth. Is in your 30s is who you know. But when you are in your 40s and beyond that, It's no longer what you know, who you know. But what matters is who knows you. Who knows you? You may not know chairman of ABC company, joint stock company, but the chairman knows you. And that is the tipping point where how your career can sustain beyond 40 years to even 50 years is essentially who knows you. So if I can elaborate a bit more is who knows you, basically the core principle of that would be your reputation. Are you trustworthy? Because at age 40 and above, you will probably go into a senior position. So it's your reputation and whether you are trustworthy or not. It's no longer whether you are knowledgeable, whether you are experienced in running a hotel. No. Because you will be hired at age 50, not because of your work experience in knowing how to run a hotel, but you are hired because of your character. And that's where the difference is, because you are that. I would say but I can't manage. I'm not a hotel general manager. I say we will hire a hotel general manager, but can you be the so-called oversee the whole operation, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there will be at that level you have your hands and legs to do the thing, but you are the head. So this is where I would say, in your 20s, those in your 20s, focus on what you know, because that will bring you start going where you need to go. In your 30s is who you know. Focus in developing that. And in your 40s, watch yourself, because people will know you. So you need to watch your character. You need to watch whether are you trustworthy, are you reliable. And trustworthy and reliable are values or characteristics. Got nothing to do with PhDs, got nothing to do with a double degree. So I think this is essential. And I would say that is not just from my personal experience, but of myself, but I would say those that have observed that who are successful. These are the values that are there.
What you know, who you know, and who knows you.
Yes.
The three of that. That's how life progress and go on and on. Wow, that's really like mind-blowing and touching, and I don't know why, but never it's like there's nobody ever tell me that or tell the young people or that sort of thing. I mean, like they tell us just go on and work and try our best, but never. There's no one who tell us to look back and reflect on life, on what we have been through.
How I wish someone would have told me this when I'm in my 20s or 30s. So, but unfortunately, it did not happen. And maybe to wrap up is, there are always in life, I think everyone will encounter difficult people or people or friends that may have betrayed. You may face betrayal or being forsaken or forgotten. I would say that we must learn to be thankful and thank the person who betrayed you. Thank the person who have ignored you in your time of need. Because he has ignored you or betrayed you and you are put in a very difficult situation, but because of that, you have discovered different resources, different avenues to recover, and you are who you are. It's not just because of being thankful for those who have helped you, but be thankful for those who did not help you, because if they would have helped you, I may not be here. I may be in a different
You may be in different place.
So if we were to look at that, then I think as we carry on in life, we let go. We can be angry, but we let go of bitterness. We are not bitter. We can be angry. If someone, if I said something that's not polite to you, you have the right to be angry at me. But if you hold on to the anger and become bitter, I will still sleep well at night, You don't. So who suffer? You, not me.
Yeah.
Right. So learn to let go and be thankful for the people who didn't help you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here today and share all your words to us. That's very meaningful, and I feel very blessed to have talked to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time also.
You're listening to Chat Travel, a podcast series from My Travel Through.